You got to get right into it.
Well, they do this for a living, right?
I don't know. Do you guys?
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Okay.
Yes.
Talk story.
Kind of. Yeah, we do.
You have a podcast too, right?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
the man.
He's the man.
He's the man. The man. You know denial? It's in Egypt.
No.
Denial. You know, by the way, I have to warn you about this red wine. Some people say it smells like Updog. That's the only thing I want to share with you guys.
Okay.
Okay, just be cautious because it smells like Updog.
Thank you. Thanks for the warning.
Smells like Updog.
Yeah, they're not gonna bite.
What's up, dog?
We didn't go for the what's up, dog.
No.
We already knew.
Snoo.
Denial was good. Denial was good.
Denial.
Denial.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Furuya Uncorked. Again, this is a podcast, father, son. I think he's
Friends.
my son. It's a father, son. And so this is Kali Furuya. Kali, can you introduce our special guest for this
Yeah, I'm
episode?
super excited. This is my good friends Justin and Miles. We'll let them introduce themselves in a little bit, but they are watched the podcast. At least I know for Miles, he's converted kind of to being a wine guy. He's a DJ. You guys want to talk about what you do a little bit too?
Sure.
Oh.
I'm a DJ, yeah. But I don't know. I've been DJing for a long time, mostly nightclub-ish. And then during...
Now live
I
streaming.
also like try to make music, but also during COVID, I live stream. And so it's almost like a podcast, but with a video, and then playing music for people to maybe enjoy some music at the house.
You got that kind of voice.
Thanks.
Voice for radio.
For R&B mostly.
He's got a face for radio.
He's very handsome.
No.
Whoa.
What do you do? Bro?
I know a good eye doctor for you.
Actually, it's a great question because I don't really know what you. So what do you do?
I guess.
You have a hand
Be
in
transparent. Be
everything,
transparent.
yeah. Gray area.
gray area.
What do you do that's legal?
You know, when someone starts with
A lot of marketing. I've done car shows for the past 12 years. Did a lot of stuff in the marketing space for nightclubs, open nightclubs, ran
Bars.
nightclubs, bars. Now more so restaurant stuff and a lot of social media as far as like just building brands. And then now cannabis, which is, you know, really big in California, and just helping those brands become better as far as like creating a digital footprint and making sure that they look good, you know, from packaging to merchandise to
Wow.
the whole rollout.
You know, that's that whole industry is the pot at the end of the rainbow.
I would say so.
Yeah.
But you also have a podcast, right?
Yeah, and I do a podcast. So what's crazy was that Miles was my first guest on my podcast when I first started it. And when the world shut down, I stopped doing the podcast because I feel like it was just, I was kind of lost as far as like what to do. You know, you're super excited for what you've done for the last 15 years. You haven't had a real job. You've kind of just been stuck in your ways of doing nightlife and, you know, building brands. And then all of a sudden they're telling you need to stay home. So you try to do this podcasting, but you're just like trying to figure out like, maybe I should just quit my job and just go work at Costco because I don't know what's going on.
You have to pivot.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
What was
Yeah.
your podcast about?
Well, so I just recently restarted it, and it's with my cousin, and we basically just talk story and talk about movies and talk about a lot of BS.
Yeah.
But it's fun because it's like our conversations, I believe, are very colorful, so we're able to just, you know, talk about whatever we want. Kind of like this dynamic,
Yeah.
I would say.
So our podcast is about wine. So
Yeah.
what are we teaching them today?
Oh, I don't want to play this game. How's that for a wine? You guys like that? Well, you didn't ask him what he does.
He said he's not only just a DJ too. You gotta hype yourself up a little bit. You're the man too.
I'm person.
So, Kelly, you tell me what he does.
So Miles is a DJ, but he won, was it 2017?
Yeah.
The Goldie Awards, which is an international DJ competition put on by A-Track. That put you on the map, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I met you in maybe like 2012 or 11 or maybe, 2012 or 13. 11, 12 or 13 is when I met you.
That's a long time ago.
And I remember after you won that award, you had come to Hawaii. All of you guys had come to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And you were playing at Addiction, and the fucking line was, which is a nightclub in Waikiki, and the line was out the door. And I remember talking to Miles, and some of the people that were there were like, "You know this guy?" I was like, "Bro, it's like kind of my really good friend, actually." Like they were tripping on that he was there. So,
are you related to Hawaiian Miles? No. Okay, I guess not.
And when we first started doing the podcast,
I'm gonna try to keep a straight face all those every time he pulls one of those.
When we first started doing the podcast, I either texted or called that he does his streaming on Twitch, and that he was drinking wine during his streams now.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Why? Why wine now?
Well, it also started during quarantine era, which is like, now I was DJing at home for people virtually, and sometimes at home you don't want to be taking shots all the time.
Yeah.
And then we're
maybe all the time at home. You don't want to be taking shots.
There's times for it, but like just to like enjoy different things like flavorfully and how it makes you feel. We started really getting into wine, and then especially listening to your guys' podcast, it started to really open it up. And
well, you were asking me about that daughter, the second daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, the second child. So she was episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
One of the important things she said to me, anyway, on that podcast was now that they have 3 children, if she starts drinking at 4, she wants to be able to watch the 10 o'clock news. So that's why wine now, as opposed to margarita or whatever else. So it's a more mellow way of, so you don't pass out.
And also, adding to that, like if you're drinking wine at home, there's like, you don't feel like a shithead. Like, you know what I mean? Like
there's some sophistication.
Yeah.
You're sipping it. You're tasting it. Yeah.
So what kind of wines do you both drink? I don't want to just clue with you, but.
Okay, so here's my thing, and I'm excited to talk to you because I'm like an adventurous guy, so I don't know what I'm doing. So like I'll go to the store, I'll try to see what looks cool and what I haven't tried yet.
Mm-hmm.
That way, maybe one day I can come to the store and know which ones I like. However, that's how I pick wine. I don't have any other.
Are you a label shopper too?
Yeah,
sure.
like
Me too.
yeah, somewhat.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm a big label shopper because, I mean, design-wise.
You like eye-catching things.
Yes,
Yeah.
but also, I'm also a big Costco goer because of my wife. So whatever people kind of recommend at Costco, or like they have pretty decent descriptions as far as like saying something's like in the 90s, then I'm like, oh, it's in the 90s. It must be like a A.
Rating in the 90s and
Rating-wise,
ratings.
yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll pick up that. A couple of our buddies, like you said, they want to watch the 10 o'clock news too. So, they'll recommend stuff, but really it's a lot of labels.
Yeah. Well, so he talks about it a lot. Like if you guys are exploring the world of wine, his like main recommendation, and you guys probably have more of this than we do in Hawaii, is going to specialty shops, like wine specialty shops. And we've talked about it on the podcast before because we go out to our field in Kailua. That's where he went to get the last couple of bottles when he went out. And it's about establishing a relationship with the buyer there that you trust. That's not going to just sell you some BS to like upsell you an expensive bottle. And your guys' access to wine is probably a lot bigger than our access in Hawaii. So to go find a specialty shop that's either close to home or somewhere that's convenient for you guys and establish that kind of relationship of somebody that can recommend you stuff, or call him now. That's what we told our last guest.
That's why I'm here.
So here's some thoughts just to answer your question or your comments and whatnot. One of the things to keep in mind, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating to all of you because I've said this a couple times on the podcast, but one of the main criteria of why big box stores carry wines, it's based upon how many times it scans a week.
Okay.
So another way of looking at that is if X amount of bottles don't sell, it's out and a new brand comes in, whether it's olive oil, soap, or shampoo. It has very little to do with quality. So you have to understand that. So just right off the bat, by you going to a big box store, the window of opportunity for wines gets smaller, and it's going to be more mainstream. It's going to be more commercial. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying understand that the kind of wines you're going to try tonight would not be available in most Costco's.
Okay.
Or big box stores, I should say. That's the first thing I want to say. Second thing I want to say is that, before we started actually filming, I was telling you about how important it is for me, core values, family owned and operated. So like the red wine we're going to try later, you're going to see, or this guy maybe makes 400 cases of wine between these two wines. So it's not huge production. So if he's only making 200 cases of each of these wines, right? He won't have a marketing budget, and therefore they're not going to have fancy labels. Those fancy labels are at least $350 unless you do huge volume,
Right.
And so he's going to do things very simply and very, look at that thing.
But I actually think that's one of the nicer labels.
But I'm just saying overall.
Show it to Justin too.
But overall,
I would not pick this up if I would.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I would not. either.
Alright.
yeah. And so my whole point is just that
Sorry, parts and labor.
But I haven't even tried it.
Yeah.
you're going to be limited to what's available to you unless you do just a little bit of research, right?
Yeah.
The third thing I want to say is before we started filming here, we were recommending you go to Aquarello in San Francisco, right? Because it's one of the best restaurants in San Francisco. I mean, and certainly one of the best Italians for sure. Let me say this. So you hook up with Rafa there, right? Rafael Santos. He's a great guy. He was just written up by Wine Enthusiast magazine as being a hotshot, one of the up-and-coming sommeliers. But he's a good guy. He's a really good guy.
He actually specifically got an award for Filipino American sommeliers, or got recognition, which is cool. They're both Filipino.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, he got recognition for being like this.
But he's a good guy. Forget what race he is or what religion he is. He's just a good guy. And so you meet him, and then a relationship starts. So when I travel around the world, if I see people who I think got game, then I'm going to ask them, hey, bro, Miles, tell me who your 10 favorite Chardonnay producers are out of California. Justin, tell me who your 5 favorite Cabernet producers are, or whatever region we're in. And then I start doing research. That's how you find leads. So that way, to me, that you're starting off with the right foot in terms of looking for wines. And you might also add under $20 a bottle, or whatever your budget is, and that's how you find leads. And then once you go to that store, you see the selections, and hopefully you meet the wine buyer or something. Then you ask him, okay, in this store, I have $25 to spend. Tell me a wine that you think I should try and why. And then you buy it, you see if you like it or you don't like it. Then you know if this guy is telling you the truth, or this girl is telling you the truth or not. That's how you find good wine, instead of just going to it's going to take a little bit of work, just like looking for vine ripened tomatoes or et cetera. It takes a little bit of work, but once you start going that route, like I was telling you about restaurants, then I feel like I'm getting something for my money. To find this wine in Hawaii for $17.99 a bottle, I think that's a steal when you consider the shipping, temperature control, and all that stuff. So
as well as what it costs to make the wine.
Yeah, and only he would carry this wine. Our field Kailua right over here, And so over there, I should say. But that's the point, is that's how you find these kind of wines, Just a little bit of research. Just ask a question. And it's just like, then you go, not all restaurants have really interesting wine programs, right? So you got to find those that have really interesting people. And ask Rafa then, once you meet him, and say, Rafa, what are some other restaurants in this area that I should consider for good food?
Or wine
just like you asked
shops,
me, what kind of good food? You ask Rafa now. And he goes, or good wine bars, or good places I can go to just find some good wines. What store should I go to? You get referrals. So we started an app some time ago. I gave the idea to this lady I used to work with on Roy did a cooking show for 6 or 7 seasons, 6 seasons, I think, on PBS. And the executive producer, her name is Melanie. So I told her, you should do this app. So what the app was, where do chefs eat? So when you come to Hawaii, rather than reading Yelp or reading all these things, here's this app. And Alan Wong says, here's his 5 favorite hole in the walls. Roy Yamaguchi says, here's his favorite hole in the walls and why. It's the same kind of principle. That's how you find the small guy. The small guy has no more money to market and come up with pretty
Or
labels,
time,
et cetera. So they don't have the exposure. They don't have the voice. So that's how you can. That's my way of giving advice to you that you perhaps can, especially in San Francisco. There's so much available to you guys, and it's not at Beverage and More. It's not at Total Wine. I guarantee you guys, you got to find the small stores that carry things.
What do you guys normally like to drink though? Bigger reds or? I know you guys were talking about what you drank a little earlier, but
there was a moment where we were really into whites because it was so easy to drink, especially when you chill it. And then we got more into reds recently. Me and my wife. But yeah, we're not.
She's your wife?
She's my wife.
Oh, hey, I know a good ear doctor for you. Because you can't obviously hear if that's your wife. And for you, I know a good eye doctor for you. Obviously, you can't see.
What do you guys normally drink?
Yeah, a lot of red, I would say.
Are you're like wine guy now too, or you still drink other things?
I think because when we first met, going to Napa and stuff.
Both
like
of their
that.
wives are off camera. That's why they keep looking over there.
Yeah. Okay, so
No, you're good.
No, but going.
She's going to give you lickings after.
They had the cue cards over here.
I'm like this.
She's giving you stink eye. You better say this. My lovely wife, who I'm so in love with.
I'm like, I can't read that. Can you go to slide 2, please? No, but I think
Demure.
being in the nightclub stuff, right? It's just drinks, shots, spirits, getting hammered.
For effect, yeah.
But
Getting hammered.
when you learn or when you kind of have a significant other, you guys want to try more different things.
Slow it down a little bit.
Slow it down. But at the same time, you might drink tequila after you go wine tasting. And it has happened. But, I think it's just been a good bonding thing of us going to Napa and then starting to eat the food. I just recently got to go to French Laundry because our wedding got canceled. So,
Wow.
It was amazing.
Wow.
Can I tell you? I prefer to go to the Chinese laundry because it's cheaper, and they don't use so much starch.
What was the best part of going to French Laundry? Was that me and my wife, we wore you didn't have to wear a suit. I was in a t-shirt. And
No.
I was in a t-shirt at French Laundry.
Wow.
Why? Because it was during COVID?
Because it was COVID.
Did you wear a hat?
I didn't wear a hat, but I had sneakers on and I had, jeans on.
Well, you're smarter than me because I always thought French was a verb. I didn't know it had anything to do with a nationality.
So he talks about aha moments a lot, wine breakthrough. Did you have a wine and food pairing there or in anywhere that was an aha moment for you?
Yeah, we basically so right when we walked in, everybody that was there was just super nice. So they really walked us through it and they gave us good advice. So again, we trusted what they were saying and let us down and we kind of just said, okay, we're going to do the Wagyu portions and all that. And they were like, okay,
The
we'll
add-ons.
get this.
You did the super add-ons,
Supplements, yeah.
right?
It wasn't the super, but it was good.
Yeah.
I think it might have been the super.
Yeah, well, if you're doing Wagyu, that's super, bro. If you're doing foie gras, Wagyu, truffle, then that's super. You're souped up your menu. That's how they get you. Here's the base menu. It's 350, and all of a sudden you do all
You have all the
little
supplements to add.
Yeah. And then you look at the bill, you go, oh.
But
honey.
honestly, if you're gonna go to French Laundry, that's my number one restaurant that I would like to go to.
Really?
Yeah. And I've never been to a Michelin star restaurant actually.
Oh.
And
surprising.
I know,
Really?
no. And if I were going to go to French Laundry, I would have to go all out too. You're not going to do it every week,
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, sure, I'll take that.
The last time I was in SF, actually, my girlfriend at the time, her friend had an office across the street from Quince, and I was walking by and they were making employee meal, and I was like, I didn't know that Quince was a Michelin star or a 2-star restaurant, and I was walking by and I thought that they were just eating outside. I looked at it and I was like, man, that food looks insane for employee meal. So then I found out it was 2-star Michelin. I was like, no wonder.
So, it's really interesting. I was telling her just before we started filming, we were talking about the chef at Aquarello restaurant. And she, I'm fortunate over the years. I've got to work with a lot of top chefs. I mean, a lot. And she, Suzette Grisham Tognetti, she's one of those chefs that gets dirty. She does all her own prep. She cleans. She cooks herself. She's not one of those people that stands there and goes, like that, right? I have to say, when I first met him, Thomas Keller was like that as well. He's the chef of the French Laundry. He's the owner. So I did an event with him on the island of Lanai. That was the first time I did one. Then I did one with him on Maui. And I just sat there and I watched him, how perfectly everything was sliced and everything. I mean, diced and except, oh my God, his food absolutely blew me away. And at that time, I have to tell you, it's the best food I had in America. I think his food is just incredible.
It was really good.
He's a very, very talented chef, and deservedly so. I mean, he's really. So there's another restaurant then, a spin-off from the French Laundry in the Bay Area, Bennu. Have you been there?
Oh, the Korean spot.
Yeah. Is it Korean?
It is.
Well, the chef is Korean, Corey.
Isn't it like Korean fusion-ish?
I don't know.
inspired?
I've never been.
We've never been, but we've been wanting to go. And when we decided we wanted to go, COVID hit. But they were doing like a takeout type of menu.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the sommelier over there, whose name I can see is Yoon Ha. His name is Yoon Ha. You got to meet him. He is like a tour de force. He's something else. Wow. He's really good. Yeah, so if you guys go to Bennu, his name is Yoon Ha. Yeah. He's really a top sommelier, really.
I had a friend that was...
so there's another guy, you ask him.
Yeah.
What wine stores, tell me some Chardonnays or Pinot Noirs in the $25 to $30 price range, whatever.
These guys, how often are they even there though?
Yoon Ha is there all the time.
Rafa's there all the time
too. They're there.
So part of like being from that sommelier background is to work the floor.
You should just tell those two guys, not the assistants. The assistants
they're working.
They're working.
May not know who I am, but if you meet Yoon Ha or Rafa, say, Chuck told me to ask you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What's your?
I'll start a group text for you guys too, actually.
Nice.
Okay, cool.
And I'll start a group text with him so you have his contact as well.
I have to show him a picture like this, like, hey.
Who?
Like, this is me.
I tried to FaceTime Rafa. He must be right. He must be working right now.
Rafa's good people.
Okay.
Really good people.
I have a buddy who's he told me Bennu was like one of the best meals he's ever had.
Really?
Like,
yeah. That
spin-off on Korean would be bomb too. That's one of my favorite cuisines by far.
Yeah.
Should we try the wine before we finish?
Okay, because there's a couple subjects I want to talk about. First of all, I don't know if I told it on the podcast or if I talked to you guys earlier, but to me, the two main categories of wine is trophy wines. Those are the kind you put in the cellar. Those are the kind of wines you get 98, 99, 1,000 points, whatever, And then there's the cafe or bistro style wines, the kind that's served at neighborhood restaurants along the Mediterranean countryside, right? Where you don't swirl and smell the glass. You just eat and you gulp the wine, right? It's a way of life. And so that's how I feel these two wines are. They're from California, but they're not made to be trophy wines. They're made to be more country, delicious, light. So what I call country wines is, first of all, it should be delicious. Now, if we expect our foods to be delicious, shouldn't our wines be delicious as well? Exactly. And today, not 20, 30, 40 years from now. If we expect our foods to be lighter and fresher, shouldn't our wines be lighter and fresher? Mm-hmm. Shouldn't it be food friendly? And most importantly, it should be gulpable, meaning there's no hard edges, so you can just wash down the morsels between bites. That's my definition of a country wine. So these are a white and a red under the label called Folk Machine. I think he makes 200 cases of this, and I don't know how many cases he makes of the white. And his name is Kenny Lickett Prakong.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lickett, thank you.
Nailed
thank
it.
you. They helped me. The Peanut Gallery helped me with that.
Thanks,
they
guys.
looked it up because it's a very unusual name. Apparently, he is a pro skateboarder and he was an avid surfer, and he makes really interesting and good, tasty wine. It's like his wines are like Elena's. It's not expensive, but it's good, solid food. That's how I feel his wines are. So I want to introduce you, first of all, to the concept of lighter, delicious. Some of the brands you were mentioning to me, I don't want to say it on air, but those are more trophy wines, and you can still enjoy it. I'm not suggesting you don't drink those wines. I'm suggesting at the dinner table or just afternoon sipping or early part, consider these wines because they're lighter. This thing's only 12.5 alcohol, not 13.5, 14.8. You know, so it's more mellow, it's more uplifting, it's more energizing. Yeah, that's what these wines are.
Yes.
We start with the white or the red?
White. So what do you smell?
My first time having the white.
Kelly, what do you smell in this?
Let them go first. What do you guys smell?
No, you help them first.
First of all, I mean, I'm gonna look at the color, and it's pretty. It has like that golden straw color to it.
I don't think we have to go into depth and break it down. I'm just saying, what do you smell? See, he thinks he's the kind now. He's the show.
We are 21 episodes in now.
I know. Is it heavy?
I mean, no, not
Is
at
it
all.
oaky?
No,
Is it? How does it flow from beginning to end?
seamless, and I think you get a lot of minerality in it.
Yeah.
First and foremost.
So minerality is the concept of minerality. So again, I try to categorize wines, and so to better explain to you, to me, like some producers will call their wines vin de feuille and vin de terroir. Okay, so the difference is vin de feuille is about the grape. So Chardonnay typically smells some type of apple, pineapple, pear. That's the varietal character of the grape Chardonnay. You know, Sauvignon Blanc has different varietal character. Chenin Blanc, recently, they all have different varietal characters. So that's vin de feuille, wine of the fruit. Okay. Now, when you have vin de terroir, that means wine of the soil, wine of the place.
Oh.
So it's the concept of the kula onion. There's something very unique about Kula Maui that results in a special onion.
Yeah.
Neighboring Makawao and the rest of Maui, for that matter, the onion's not as special. I don't know why, but I'm sure it has something to do with the soil. So when he says minerality, he's talking about components where the vines grow in. And somehow it gets transmitted, even though the scientists say it's not possible to go through the root system up the vascular into the grapes. Somehow that soil gets into the wine, in my opinion. Okay, not all the time, but I'm saying when I smell a French Chablis, it smells like briny seashell kind of characteristic. And there's no ocean hundreds of miles in any vicinity, in any direction. So it's something to do with the soil. I truly believe that. So when he says minerality, he's smelling something more about, the wet stone, like a wet river stone, or when it rains, and you smell the cement after it just started raining, and you have that stony smell, as opposed to apple, pineapple, pear, blackberry, cherry, etc. So he's saying that this wine smells minerally.
I also think it's something that you said like on a previous episode, that this isn't necessarily a wine you're gonna technically swirl around your glass to try to break down, right? It's
Right.
just something it's a porch pounder. You're gonna drink it, you're gonna slam it. It's crushable, It's easy to drink. It's light on its feet. I think the description that we read online of what they set out to do is bottle minerality in a city, or whatever they were saying is what it accomplished,
So it reminds me of the style of a country wine. It's not showy. It's never going to get 100 points, or not even 90 points, or maybe not even 85 points. It's just about deliciousness. You just shoot it. It's uplifting. It's got a lemony edge. It's like lemonade. It refreshes you, right? It gives you energy. It uplifts you. That's what the intention of this wine is. And with foods, this wine would act like a squeeze of lemon. So when you squeeze a lemon over a fish, what does it do? It cuts to the fishiness, it cuts to the oiliness, it cleanses your palate between bites, right? Mm-hmm. So that's how this wine would interact with the foods. So now you kind of understand the intent of this wine.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be a trophy wine. It's not meant to be a single varietal. It doesn't have the accolades of some of the Napa Valley wines. It doesn't matter to me. I'm banking on Kenny because he makes Liquid Precong, because he makes delicious, light, food-friendly wines like this.
No, it's great.
It's
tastes
intentional.
Like summer,
Yes.
and that's pretty much how I could describe it.
Yeah.
Is this something that you would buy
Oh, definitely.
Totally.
So I bought it at the store, $12.99.
for the white?
Yeah,
Wow.
I love it.
$12.99
Yeah.
in Hawaii. So in
Yeah.
San Francisco,
Probably
it's
cheaper.
probably cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But the secret is finding it.
Yeah.
Maybe you they looked it all up on the computer. So maybe you contact them directly and say, where can I buy your, we had it in Hawaii, where can I buy your wine here in the Bay Area? That's how you, and then now you start communication with him because, you're communicating that you love his wines, and then he can help maybe give you insight into other wineries that you can check. That's how the game, if you want to expand, if you really want to learn about wine, not to be geekish or sommelier or anything like that, but if you really want to make sure you do your homework so that you're not getting, you're getting wines that you feel you paid the right price for in terms of quality that received.
Yeah.
Then you just got to do a little bit of homework. Doesn't take that much work. She was so fast, and then she started using that. What do you call that thing?
Speak to text.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's actually how we got the pronunciation of his last name. So hopefully that audio file is accurate on Google.
Yeah.
What kind of foods do you do with this?
I told you seafood. So because you eat fish,
Yeah.
you eat scallops, shrimp, like that. This is the kind of wine. It would act like a squeeze of lemon to me. Oh wow. And you could see the other thing you're going to find about. Don't mention any of the names you're talking about, but when you taste this and you go back to that Chardonnay you guys were talking about, it's going to taste oaky, alcoholic, and bitter after this wine. And so you may not notice it when you have it first, but when you have it after this wine, it's going to taste like that.
I like how this doesn't have those features you talked about, because I could drink this and really just enjoy it without the sometimes when you drink things that are like really kind of strong and kind of just like, you can take a little bit and maybe it'll hit you kind of weird.
Yeah.
And
it just hammers your palate, those kind of wines
it does.
too.
It does. Sometimes I have to drink a little water.
Yeah.
But like also on the more like, because I do like drinking when I DJ, especially at home. And it's also about how I feel. So this one is like a light feeling and I'm going to feel good versus something that's heavy and then maybe my energy might drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is I feel good. Like it's very bright.
Yes. Yeah, I agree 1,000%. What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, again.
Just in time.
No, it's good.
You said summer.
Yeah, I said summer, and it's just something that you could just drink all the time.
Yeah.
And
it's not going to break your wallet.
Yeah, $12.99, maybe even $8.99 for me. So.
$8.99. That's because is she high maintenance over there?
No.
You tell me later. Okay, I got it.
She can be.
I got it.
She can't. She has her moments.
I got it. So let's talk about the red now. So that white wine was a blend of many different grapes, and it's all intentional. There's a reason why there's Tokai Friulano. There's a reason why there's Riesling inside there. There's a reasoning, it's intentional, And so the red wine is intentional too. So I'm going to bring up the second point that I wanted to discuss with you guys is that depending on who you read, there's somewhere between 800 and 10,000 different grape varieties. So if you look at another fruit like mango, under the category of mango, you have Hayden mango, common mango, Piri mango, Chinese mango, to name 4. Even though they're all mangoes, they taste completely different, have different weights, textures, etc. Same is true with all the grapes.
Okay.
So when you get Chardonnay, it's apple, pineapple, pear kind of characteristics. When you get Cabernet Sauvignon, which is one of the more popular varietals for red, you get cassis, currant kind of flavors, blackberry, black cherry kind of aromas, smoke, vanilla kind of thing from the oak aging. But I mean, it's very characteristic primary smells, right? So what this guy does is he instead tries to make blends where all of the finished product is, the sum of the products is better than each part individually. So another way to look at it, in the old producers of Barolo and Côte Rôtie in France, they would never make a single vineyard wine. They would make wines from all these different vineyards in different parts because they're all going to be different parts, so that it's more of an orchestral sound as opposed to just a horn section.
I like that.
So that's what this guy is great at. He's great at finding these batches of grapes, and he makes them all separately, and then he blends them. He has a concept of what he wants to do. It's just like when you cook a dish, you have a concept of, you add a little bit of Worcestershire or you add a little bit of garlic, whatever. You have a concept of how all these things are going to come together. That's how this guy is. So the white wine is a blend of all these grapes, but this red wine is too. And the major component is a grape variety. It's called Carignan. Carignan, for the longest time, is one of the most widely planted grapes in France and in Spain, right? And it was largely poo-pooed. It was a second-class citizen. It wasn't considered grand, like Cabernet Sauvignon or Pinot Noir or Chardonnay. It was a secondary type of grape variety. So at the same time, when you have old vine Carignan, it can create very delicious wines, not trophy wines. So when you look at the color, it's not black, it's not opaque like Cabernet Sauvignon. You know, it's got a brownish kind of brick to the edge. So it doesn't have strong pigmentations in the skins, but it's also meant to be a lighter wine, more about deliciousness and joy and upliftingness, just like the white wine was. So I just want to introduce you to the white and then the red version. So tell me what you guys think about this wine. And be candid. If you don't like it, it's cool by me. It doesn't matter.
Or just trust your palate, too, because you guys were pretty right on with what you were saying about tasting the white. So don't be embarrassed about saying...
So if you guys don't like the wine, just call me Alan. It doesn't matter. I answer both names. I just don't want
what do
you
you
to
smell first?
I just don't want you to get the wrong idea about that. Wrong idea.
They don't know who Alan Long is.
Oh.
He's a chef.
Wrong idea.
Oh.
Look, she's bored with you, man. She's on her phone already, bro.
She's calling an Uber to get out of here.
I like this.
Yeah, I like it too. It's nice and light.
Yeah, and it's delicious, right? Just like
Yeah.
the white. It's delicious. It's perky. It's not smooth. It's perky. It's earthy. It's, you know, and another thing about this wine that I would like to introduce to you, when I'm at the beach, I can smell the sand baking in the sun. I can smell the seaweed down there. I can smell the wet bushes over there, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, you can smell the wild herbs and shrub that grow around this vineyard. You know,
Yeah.
it's there. And so that's why it's not a wine of fruit or oak. You ladies should try
Yeah,
it.
Did you try this, Hannah?
Here,
Try
please.
I like it because it's so like, if I was eating like, some pasta
Or pizza. Try this with the
yeah,
pizza.
it's a nice like washer down like. You know what I mean?
After we finish the filming, you guys should try a glass of this and a glass of the Cabernet Sauvignon. You want to try the Ancient Peaks?
Yes.
You try the Ancient Peaks Cabernet, which is
Okay.
really good wine, and you try this one. And you tell me which one goes better with pizza.
Okay.
Okay? It'd just be a fun exercise that you
Yeah.
guys can check out. Questions for me? I know it's throwing a lot at you guys to think about.
I do have questions, and I don't even know how to ask them. Just because like when I drink this, and typically when I have wines more on the red side, and they're a little heavier, they hit me like kind of harder, and like like I said earlier, they kind of not dampen my energy, but they're heavy. You know what I mean? And this doesn't do it, and this is like very smooth and kind of
Light, like
kind
you
of
said.
light.
Yeah.
And like I would love to eat meals with this glass. Right
Exactly.
You know, like for me, for this, right? This has a very heavy nose. And then I'm trying to figure that out because usually when you have a heavy nose in certain other things, it always kind of translates into like something being very sleepy. But this is very different from that. And where it's like light after you drink it.
It's got energy too.
Yeah. So I'm wondering like why is it so heavy on the nose, but yet it's still very light? Like where is that coming from?
So there's other grapes inside here, Mourvedre, Syrah, things like that. Those are very masculine, very mojo kind of grapes.
Yeah.
So that's what you're smelling. You're not really smelling the Carignan here.
Does this have oak in it, too?
Yeah, but it's all old oak, I would say, smelling this thing. It's not new oak. And after you following the white wine, you're going to notice the oak. But if you drank it by itself,
Yeah.
you wouldn't notice the oak.
You're going to notice the alcohol a little bit, too. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
because we're following it after the white wine.
Yeah.
Because the white wine is only 12-something alcohol.
But you're right. He's right about it being aromatic and masculine,
Yeah.
right?
So, roast chicken, that pizza, in the break, you try this with the pizza.
Okay.
With the salami pizza, the salami, mushroom, and olive. You'll see that's where this wine likes to play. It can help to make the food taste better. It's really interesting. My wife is, all modesty aside, is an excellent cook. She cooks really good food. And she's really into it. Not to be fancy, she just likes tinkering with things. And so typically between the bolognese that she makes or the beef stew that she makes, two of my favorites, she changes it up with the wine that she uses because depending on what's open, it's amazing the difference It
Talking
is
about
amazing.
Changing the wines, she cooks it.
Yeah.
It's amazing the difference in the results. And so if that's true, then the wine that you're having with the dish can also change the perception. It's the same, right? It makes sense, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's another thing to consider. Your wife's bored.
No, that's what she looks like. Usually.
Oh, okay.
This is really good. I'm honestly.
And so this wine was $17.99 at the store.
So $12.99 for us.
Do you really think that that's how much the difference would be in somewhere like San Francisco?
Or maybe it'll be $15.99, something like that.
Still,
Because these are like from our area, pretty much. Yeah.
A little north of you, these grapes.
This one right here, though, out of the two, this is really good.
It's more refreshing.
Like we're gonna go call Kenny after this.
Yeah.
You should seriously. Making a phone call to him and Rafa.
Yeah.
It's gonna open a new horizon for you guys, man.
I will say it is probably because I have no experience in that. It's intimidating, but
Just tell him I told you to call you. Kenny might not remember me, but
or if you go to the store,
Rafa
you should
will.
FaceTime him or Rafa. That's what we tell everybody.
Yeah.
I'll start a group text.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Could I like say something that's kind of a little off topic? But I
1000%.
think this is like the coolest thing because like my dad really enjoys wines. Like really enjoys it. He's been a wine club member. He goes to Napa and this is his passion. He's like 1 to 2 bottles a night.
whoa.
Maybe by himself, maybe with other people.
that's where you get it from.
Yeah, no, definitely. It just kind of depends. But I think that this is really good that we're doing this because this will kind of help, a podcast, not maybe between me and my dad, but it'll be fun for me to be like, yo, I did this thing and, kind of share like what I learned. So
Do you drink wine with your dad, or do you usually sip on whatever you want to sip on?
yeah, so, when we come to the house, he'll be like, oh, this just came in. And then he'll be, he loves Hannah, so he wants to like show off a
Impress
little.
her,
And yeah. So he'll bust out some stuff. And
Well, maybe now you can bring him a bottle,
Right?
yeah, no, we have.
No, but I don't know if he's a collector. I don't know if he's gonna like these kind of wines.
I think
I think he will.
open to it.
I think
Yeah,
he will.
because-
They live in the country, so their country.
Where's country? Brazil.
Dixon, California.
Where's Dixon, California?
Exactly.
above Davis or below Davis.
That's where you're from originally?
No. I mean, I'm from literally where the guy Rafa's from. I'm like 3 miles away from him, where
Okay.
I grew up. So, we
Oh,
always
in the
been-
ghetto.
He knows.
Yeah, how did you know?
I was joking, man. I don't want all those people coming after me, man. By the way, my name is Alan.
No, but I think it'll be cool. And
What does he normally like to drink?
he's a lot of reds.
Yeah.
We've brought some bottles to him that we were talking about off camera, and he hid it from my uncle. He's like, "Oh, we'll open this later." So
Smart man. Hey, Cully, you should reach behind you. Where's the wine opener? I was looking for it. I don't have it. You should reach inside the ice chest and grab the other white wine. I want them to try it on camera.
Let's do it.
which one was your favorite out of these two?
They're different, but you know what I noticed about the first one is what I like is I could drink this while I DJ.
Exactly. That's
Because-
why I picked it.
Because of the energy.
Yeah,
And
that's what I picked it for. So instead, I want you to try this wine. It's this wine. So this is California. These two. Now I want you to just understand. This is from Greece. So I want you to look at a different growing area, different soils, different climate, different cultures, different grapes. So another concept I'm going to introduce you to is indigenous.
Okay.
So instead of transplanting Sauvignon Blanc or Chardonnay or Cabernet, this is an indigenous grape to Greece. So you got to remember, Greece predated Christ in terms of grape growing.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about 1971. We're talking about BC.
Yeah.
So it's a different sense of reality. So you guys try this wine. This is a white wine
And
from
also
Greece.
aromatic.
Yeah. Look at the color. It's lighter in color.
Yeah.
So it looks like water,
That's a
actually, right?
beautiful color, actually.
Looks like water, right?
Yeah,
That is a really beautiful color.
it's beautiful. Yeah.
It's like a gem in a glass.
Looks
you
like
know?
rose water.
Yeah.
Hey, I spilled that. Take that. Thanks. Ladies, you should try this one. Oh, pass this down the Kali. So this is from the Peloponnese. The Peloponnese is southern Greece.
Can I check this out?
It's southern Greece. And this is Georgios Skouras. So it's a family-owned winery.
Okay.
And he's one of those new mavericks that's going to change the game in Greece. He's going to bring it in, you know, he's going to bring it from the old ages into the more modern era. So this is a grape variety. It's called Moschofilero. Okay? It's indigenous to Greece.
Oh man, it already smells.
It smells amazing.
Yeah.
See the perfume? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So it's not easy to find these kind of aromatic grapes. You're going to see this wine is still dry. It's not sweet.
But this.
So even though it smells
smell
like
is
it's going to be,
insane, bro.
even though it smells like it's going to be sweet, it's not.
It smells like some amazing candy that you just eat all day.
See, it's dry. It's not sweet. See, it's unheavy, wouldn't you say? And it's fresh. It's got a lemony
Man,
edge.
That's some good stuff.
It's very uplifting. It's got good energy, yeah?
Mm.
Okay, so you know these aromatic grape varieties, just to give you another thing to think about? So, you know when you have a tomato salad?
$4.99.
$499? No.
Yeah, I think it's like 15 some 79 or
great.
something. Yeah.
It's like $15 a bottle. If that makes sense. Sense?
Doesn't.
Okay. So this is what I call an aromatic grape variety. Okay? So consider a tomato salad. You have tomato, you have salt, pepper, olive oil. If the tomato good and the olive oil is good, you got a great tomato salad, right? Now imagine having that same tomato salad, but you're having fresh torn basil or shiso on top. So the mentholating quality, the aromatics of those two herbs would make the tomato salad taste that much better and more dynamic, correct? That's what these aromatic grape varieties can do. So the first white wine you did acts like a squeeze of lemon with your scallop or fish. Now, if your scallop or fish has fresh basil or sorrel or thyme or sage or whatever on top, you do this with it and it creates electricity and it still has a lemony edge.
Have you ever smelled something like that before?
No.
What do you smell?
Again, it's so sweet.
Yeah.
I smell straight flowers. Like
Yeah.
A lot
A little bit of
them.
lychee or something. too.
Lychee, yeah. Lychee and plumeria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That too.
So again, that's the world of wines, guys. It's beyond, you were asking me off camera about this wine. Imagine the possibilities with all these wines now. Family owned.
You were saying how this guy's going to bring the old age into the modern age. What makes this an old type of thing? If I'm even
Well,
saying
this
that
is
right.
more modern.
Okay.
Okay, so old would be those clay amphoras we were talking about. Cement and buried in the ground.
Got it.
This is stainless steel.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying they're using techniques to make fresher, livelier, more energy to the wines as opposed to those
Got it.
the clay amphora.
And
so
he's the
just
first to do this, or like he's the guy bringing.
well. So the reason why he's the first with this grape naturally is bitter. It's colored and it's bitter. So when you normally make this grape into a wine, it can be colored and it can be bitter. Look at the color; it looks like water. And then, do you taste any bitterness in this wine or alcohol?
No.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. He's taken the concept and making it delicious, tasty, lighter, crisper, fresher, more energy. That's why I'm saying he's giving these wines a new look. You like how I dress, new look. Not like you guys over here, man. You know what I mean? I got the new look. Wait.
This tastes like I had just heard like a completely new genre of music. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
so aha moment for you in wine.
Yeah.
This is your favorite wine of the night.
Yeah, so,
So
it's
far,
50
yeah, so far.
At that store, I just bought it. $15.
Oh, you just got this one.
Yeah, right over there at where's Artfield? That way, right?
No, where you're pointing. Yeah.
Artfield, Kailua. $15. I don't mean to, talk about a store just to promote it. That's not the purpose. It's just that there's very few stores that would carry a wine like this. So I want to make sure the viewer knows which store and how much roughly, so hopefully they'll go and try it.
Yeah.
And create a new experience like how you're having. You want to do the same thing with red or no?
Aromatic red.
Yeah.
You want to try? I think is that red aromatic red?
The Ruske, the Rosa Ruske.
Yeah, I think so. I was just gonna say that you should hunt for aromatic wines if you guys are really into that.
Yeah.
Aromatic mines.
Aromatic, yeah.
I just want to. Can I ask something about temperature?
Yeah.
Where does that play? Because I think mostly tonight we've had a lot of them have been chilled. What's the do's and don'ts, if any?
So when they say cellar temperature or room temperature, you got to remember in France it's so much cooler than Hawaii,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So room temperature. So in France, the cellar temperature would probably be 60 degrees. Hawaii, we're at 78.
Yeah.
So it's like slightly heating up the wine almost. So the alcohol starts getting volatile and jumping around. So it tastes like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's not. So what you ideally want is you want the temperature of a cellar. So the white we actually serve too cold, and the red we served cool. That's really
Okay.
that's the right. That's served at the right temperature.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys try it? The white wine?
Do you guys have questions you want to jump on too?
What do you guys think of this?
Why say it? So ask it.
So for me, I cook a lot, and when I read recipes,
You want to say in the mic?
Yeah, come over here. Here, come here right now. Hold on.
I'm like turning red already.
How?
Hey, I'm red
Hey.
already.
How? Hey.
How
Speaking of
much?
which, I have my reservations. It's not a good one?
Oh
Oh
man.
my gosh, how am I supposed to do this? Okay, anyways. So I cook a lot, and a lot of recipes will say, like use a white or a red. But it always says, use a wine that you would drink. But
Exactly.
if you're someone who doesn't know what you drink or what you like to drink, how do you know what wine to use? That's how I always
hopefully-
get confused.
So hopefully these guys now are going to, from meeting Rafa and meeting Kenny and all these people, they're going to start looking for wines like this. So for the fish, you use that white wine, one of those two. And for the meats, you use the reds that you're trying. Then you're going to see the difference, man. So imagine when you're cooking something, like let's say you're cooking beef stew, and you use crappy beef. Or you use crappy tomatoes or crappy onions or that look all hagamuji and they're all decaying and all that stuff. It makes it's going to affect the taste of the dish, right? It's no different with the wine. So if you're going to use this cheap bottle of wine, it's going to affect your taste. Whereas if you just put a douse of this stuff, I don't put a lot of wine in. I just cover the bottle and I just go like this, and I douse it at the last moment, and then I just mix it in. So it has a little bit of winey flavor. I think that's cool. I think that has good flavor.
And then do you drink that same wine while you eat
I
the
would.
finished dish? Or do
I
you
would.
serve it with like a different wine?
It's up to you, but it would affect the taste. I told you my wife cooked bolognese and beef stew, short rib beef stew with different wines. Oh my God, what a difference, man. It's crazy. It's really a big difference, not small. Yeah, and so I think you'll have a lot of fun experimenting with that.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you cook with white? Do you cook with wine often, Hannah?
I do and I don't. It depends. So my second favorite cuisine is Italian. And obviously Italian food requires a lot of
Delfina. You got to go Delfina Aquarella.
everything
in-
you suggested,
in San
I have
Francisco.
it written down.
Oh.
So a lot of Italian recipes require you to, add some wine. So in that sense, yes, my, Korean cuisine is my top, and that doesn't really require a lot of wine, but
Just sesame oil.
just sesame oil, yeah, and soy
Hey,
sauce.
so I'll give you another place to go to. So you know, in Marin, the town called San Rafael. Do you know
Oh
where
yeah,
that is?
we love that place.
Okay, it's either 3rd or 4th. I think it's on 4th Street. There's a restaurant there called either the Chef's Table or the Kitchen Table. I always get mixed up. I think it's on 4th Street.
Mm-hmm.
For casual food and pizzas, you got to go there. So the chef owner his name is Alex. Okay, so he's my best friend's son. So he was the pasta guy at San Domenico in Umbria, Italy. So, I mean, one of the top restaurants of Italy. So he cooks really good pasta and pizzas. So you should go there just for casual food. It's not expensive. It's just casual. They have a bunch of interesting wines by the glass. And the whole experience is very reasonable. So it's worth the drive, lunch or dinner.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
And just tell that guy that
Alan sent me?
No,
or
that
Chuck?
Cully. Tell him the show sent you. The show from Hawaii.
The gray area.
Exactly, the gray area. I'm going to call you Gree. So you know there's a grape called Pinot Noir. That means black Pinot. Okay. From the Pinot Noir, mutated the albino, Pinot Blanc. Got it? Black, white.
Blanc, yeah.
So what's in between black and white?
Gray.
Pinot Gris. Gris means gray.
Gray.
So
So we call it
Calais
Calais
Gris.
Gris.
There's the guy right there.
We're gonna
Pinot
change
Calais.
your Instagram to Pinot. That should be the blog that you
Pinot Calais.
guys do all this.
So imagine.
Gris.
So back to the topic. Imagine having that Moschofilero with fish. And just put a little bit of thyme on it, or a little bit of chive, onion chive, not garlic chive, or some type of aromatic herb like that. Imagine what this thing could do with that. So similarly, I just poured you, Kelly, can you pour her some of this red wine? And this is from Piemonte, which is northwest Italy. The name of this grape is Muscatellina, is indigenous to Piemonte. And you're going to see, instead of cassis, currants, cherries, etc., this wine is going to have aromatics, more rose petal, lavender kind of smells. So these kind of aromatic red grapes aren't easy to find. So I wanted you to try this as the counterpart. So is that your glass, or?
This is my glass. Yeah.
Okay.
I got to finish one of these, right?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, who's this guest to your left, Justin?
Yeah, so this is my wife.
Just in time.
You could follow her on at Hand Can Cook, and it's her food blog.
Is it really?
You get it,
Yeah,
right?
she has a food
Yeah.
blog.
And can cook.
Hand Can Cook.
it's very new.
So we have a chef.
Pour me up, please.
If I had known you were coming, I would have shown you my schnoo. Oh. What do you think about that?
Oh, let's do it.
See how it's more aromatic? It's got like a rose petal, lavender, lily smell to it. It's not dark and sinister, like most red wines.
Can you explain the swirl to us before we get into this?
The swirl is the swirl.
Okay.
It's changing over time because of the swirl. You're talking about this swirl.
Talking about the swirl.
Oh, swirl. Oh, I thought you were talking about this swirl. I was going, what are you asking me? I was like, oh. Okay, so, so the alcohol molecule, many of the things that you smell piggyback on the alcohol molecule. Okay, so when you swirl the glass, you see how all the legs coming down?
Yeah.
That's alcohol and glycerin and those kind of things. So because you've increased the surface area, now when the alcohol, it wants to evaporate, all the aromas that you're smelling are going to be jumping out of the glass now. That's why a lot of people swirl it. So it coats the glass and it creates the aromas to come forward, theoretically.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I get confused with that because when I say Cully smells, I don't mean he smells like this. I mean he smells. So I get confused with the terminology. Well, see, he didn't think that was funny.
We still love him, though. Ooh. And the taste.
Pretty exotic, huh?
This is something that I don't even know how to describe it. It's a lot different from what you're used to. Like every red wine kind of, I don't know, it's weird. I don't
Okay,
know.
so here's the exercise for you. First of all, people ask me, what wine do you prefer? And my answer to them is, I don't have a specific favorite. So the way I look at wines is like how I look at my children. Why do I have to choose a favorite? Can I not appreciate my son for who he is and my daughter for who she is and not try to make either of them like each other or, similar, or appreciate their differences? That's how I feel about wines. So this is just an aromatic grape variety that I want you to experience. So the maybe an aha moment for you is you take some of this, you take some of the Folk Machine, and you take some of the Cabernet Sauvignon, and you try it with the pizza. And you see how all three interact so different with the foods. You'll be amazed at what you can learn. And I think then that'll help to put things into a little more perspective for you in a different way.
Yeah.
And for you, then it gives you an idea of how different the wine can be that you're adding to whatever you're cooking. Whether it's white or red or rosé. So it's just a learning experience. I'm just, you guys are into it. I'm just trying to share you that, So when I was growing up in this industry, it's like all these people. I didn't plan anything. People just helped me and made me think about things. And it's like them showing you a little box, and they say, look inside. So you look inside and they go, now imagine the possibilities. So I'm just trying to make you guys think, give you different things to think about. So moving forward, just by you meeting Rafa or just by you calling up Kenny or just like you find stores or grape varieties or things and whatnot. So because you cook that Greek wine, okay, this is what you need to do, in my opinion, okay? This is something that we've had in Greece, my wife and I. It's called Slovaki. It's a specific style of cooking or a specific recipe for dishes. So you take pork belly and you cut it into chunks. You marinate it in olive oil, a little bit of peppercorns, not much, just peppercorns, and some fresh oregano, and maybe some basil. That's it. And you just marinate it for a while. Okay, so then you put it on a skewer once it's been marinated for an hour or 2 hours. You put it on a skewer. You salt it then, and then you fresh cracked pepper, and then you put it on either a grill or you cook it in the oven, whichever. The grill is how they do it in Greece. And while it's cooking, you just squeeze some lemon on top, and then just as it's close to finishing, you add some dry oregano on top. A combination of dry oregano, dry thyme. That's it. That's all you do. And you don't want it to cook too long once you put those dried herbs, otherwise you'll get this burnt taste because the leaves will burn. So at the last moment you're doing that, and then it's kind of warming it. That's all you want to do. With that, I would make a salad, just mesclun mix, right? Just all kinds of different greens and lettuces. You add a little bit of lemon or white wine vinegar, whichever you prefer, some olive oil, salt, pepper. Oh, and in the greens, you just tore some basil and add some thyme inside, just a little bit, and you toss it with the greens. And then you add the olive oil, then you squeeze the lemon or the vinegar, then you put salt and pepper. That's it. And you just toss it with your hand like that lightly. You don't want to wilt the lettuce. You just toss it lightly. So you put the pork there and you put the salad there and you drink it with that wine. I'm telling you, it's magic.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah, it's magic. And you got to use good kind of olive oil, You cannot just use shitty olive oil.
For sure.
Yeah. So, again, this will open a whole new horizon for you to explore, both cooking, wine, everything. That thing is $15 in the store, man, here in Hawaii. You can have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you don't feel like a lot of times too cooking with wine, I feel bad opening a new bottle.
Yeah.
And then cooking with it and drinking a glass and then, it just sits there.
Just invite her over. She'll take care of it.
She sure will. She sure will. No, but yeah, and I wouldn't feel bad
And she won't be bashful, believe me, honestly.
This is great.
She might have to steal the next seat.
Out
here.
of all of these, though, yeah, that white from Greece was probably the best.
The most riveting. But now you have all these new wines to try.
Yeah.
No.
And make sure you try the Ancient Peaks because you asked me about that.
Yes,
so
I will.
it's
I
right
will.
there.
I will.
So
Thank you.
Ancient Peaks. So you know where Paso Robles is?
Mm-hmm.
So it's roughly halfway between San Francisco and LA, roughly. So in the southern part of Paso Robles, it's very remote. It's more remote. It's not like further north. And these people have 1,000-acre ranch. Actually, their ranch is 14,000 acres. It's 3 ranching families. They're cowboys. They ride horses, and they're cowboys. They're not. I'm not saying that to be funny. They're real cowboys.
Yeah.
And so they own this land, and they decided to grow grapes. The reason why they're growing grapes, the reason why they're doing all these different things is so that the land would pay for itself, so future generations will not need or feel to sell off anything, for big stores to come in. And their town is only 200, 250 people. That's it. They want to keep it small. Okay, so they have 5 distinct different soil types, and it's family owned, and it's just this family. I mean, you shake his hand is coarse and callous, man. My wife and I stood outside the fence for 4.5 years trying to wave somebody down. They're cowboys, seriously.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes Ancient Peaks special. And the fact that it's value. I mean, for the price, it's under $20 a bottle. I mean, God, think a cork costs 75 cents to $1. A bottle costs $1.75, $2. The label, if you do a small run, is $3.50, $4.50, somewhere around there. Then you have the cases, you have the shipping, you have the taxes, you have the, et cetera, et cetera. So by the time you look at it, you're $15 already without even growing the grapes and making the wine. So to find a wine like that at a value, and all of these wines, when I tell you 15, that's freaking crazy, right? I mean, honestly, to come all the way from Greece here in temperature control containers, I mean, that's quite a remarkable price. So, again, family owned, indigenous, all these factors make a difference, but also shipped in temperature control is also a big one. So that's the whole thing I just want to share with you with all these wines. It's not just about a wine getting 89 points or 96 points. It's more than that.
Speaking of temperature control, we were talking about how importing wine from certain areas, Italy maybe, how they need to put sulfate in their wine for temperature control reasons, or it's
okay. So
preservative.
That's a very complex subject. So there's 2 ways. The 2 main ways to get sulfur in wines is, first of all, sulfites is a byproduct of fermentation. Whether you're fermenting beer or you're fermenting for spirits, when you ferment something, one of the byproducts is sulfites. So it's going to be there unless you chemically remove it, like how you would decaffeinate coffee.
Okay.
So it's
a natural part of that.
It just happens. Mm-hmm. The other way that you can get, the main way that you get sulfites in wines is that during the whole grape growing, winemaking, everything, they just throw sulfur on top of this, sulfur dioxide, because it kills all the unwanted bacteria, yeast, molds, et cetera, and it's an antioxidant. Okay. So it keeps the wines fresh and alive. So theoretically, you're right. By having sulfites in a wine, if you add some, you can make it more damage control. It doesn't get as damaged easy.
Okay. And
whatnot. But that's not necessarily a good thing, so it just depends on what you're looking for. That's why when I say I look for sustainability, that's why I don't go to wineries. I walk vineyards with people because I can see how they think. And if they're going to treat a plant like this with respect, or they're going to treat their horses with respect, I would imagine they're going to try their wines with respect. So that's why it's really important thing, because depending on who you read, there's somewhere between 80 and 500 things that you can do or add to a wine legally to make it better. So by me walking a vineyard with somebody, I can understand how they think. It helps me to understand what kind of wines, they're going to make to me, So that's a really good question. That's a really good insight. But the other thing I was going to say was, you were asking, temperature control. So imagine some of these wines we get, we send a truck to some place in Italy to pick up 15 cases of wine. And then it has to go from there to Rome, from Rome to Paris to New Jersey, New Jersey to California, California to Hawaii, all in temperature control. Think about that.
Yeah.
Think about when you ship a package to someone in Hawaii, or you package someone to New York. You know how much you have to pay? Well, imagine what they're paying to ship all these wines all over the place. So that's probably the biggest cost of this wine. Is not the production, it's actually the shipping, the taxes and everything, the bottle, the label. That's probably the biggest cost of this particular bottle. Same thing with that Moschofilero. It's probably all the other things that cost the most. So, again, by me, it's like going to farmers markets. You're supporting directly to the farmer. That's why I like to try to find these small guys and everything and try to support them, because I think it's the right thing to do as long as the wine is good. Answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate that because we like supporting
Yeah.
small
Strike me as
folks
that-
and directly as well.
Yeah. And the thing about it, you have to remember, if you don't ship your temperature control, as the wine comes through the Panama Canal or wherever, those containers can be 110 degrees inside. So if it takes 5 weeks to come from Italy, that's like taking a bottle, stick in the oven, 110 degrees, 24 hours a day times 5 weeks. So if you were to put a piece of fish in there, it'd be cooked in 10 minutes. So that's why people, oftentimes when they have a wine from some far distance, they'll sit there going, that's not how I remember it tasted in Greece or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's why the cost of temperature control is huge, though. I have to warn you, it is huge. It will affect the cost of your bottles. So, I don't know. Other questions for me? We all good?
Yeah, no, I have a question.
Yeah.
Pre-internet, has the internet kind of changed how you found wines in a good
Yes.
way or in a bad way?
I've always been proactive, but I have to tell you, it really starts like what I'm recommending to you. I would meet a winemaker. Hey, who else buys from this vineyard? Hey, can you recommend 5 other people you think in Greece that makes really interesting wine that I should check out, especially those of value? And then can you tell me some stores? So every place I go, I do research to look at also which is the more progressive wine stores. And I walk in there, I can tell if their selections are progressive. So then I ask to speak to the buyer, and then I ask him, what other wineries should I check out in the area, or what should I buy here? So wherever we go, we're always buying wines just so I can try, because I'm never going to go back there probably in my lifetime. So I might as well, while I'm there, try everything I can. And so that's how I look at it. So the internet has helped because I can do research, pre-visit, pre-trip research. And then, based upon recommendations of this person, that person, then I just hone in. So when I go there, I know where I want to go. I know who I want to see. I know what I want to see. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just trying to answer your question. I just, it's just, the small people, they have respect for these other people. So let me tell you a perfect example of that. In Corsica is an island off the southern tip of France. I'd want to go there since the 80s, 90s, so whenever it was, but they always said it was too dangerous to go, but I finally went. So the top winemaker there, his name is Jean-Charles Apatucci. Okay, so when I asked him about other wineries, the best ones he would call vigneron. So when you look in a French dictionary, vigneron either translates into wine grower or winemaker. Okay, to him, vigneron means something more. So the best way I can communicate to you what he was trying to say to me is it's kind of like saying samurai. Samurai is just not about sword skills. It's a culture. It's a belief. It's a way of life. It's a homage. It's something like that, right? Well, that's what he's talking about, a vigneron. And so when he says this guy's a vigneron, I got to go see that guy. If I think this guy is a vigneron, I got to go see that guy. And so that's how you find leads, for me. So that's besides the internet. That's when I'm actually there. And when I walk a vineyard with a guy and I know this guy is the real deal or he's bullshitting, when I feel the real deal and I taste his wine, I go, oh man, And so like these people, I then ask him, who else I got to see? Yeah. And that's how you find these. This is this quiet, humble, down-to-earth man whose family's been doing it since sometime in 1800s. The vineyard was actually planted sometime in the 1600s. So this guy is just this humble, man. It's just, I don't know what to tell you, man. And so I will always remember how earnest, how honest, how passionate, without bragging or he don't talk. He's just very quiet and very reserved and very gracious and all that stuff. But I will never forget. And then I look at how he makes the wines. I just look at the equipment. First of all, I was there at harvest, so I taste all the grapes on the vines. Then when I look at his equipment, it's all old style. It's not all the new fandangle stuff. I respect that. The fact that he's paying homage to his ancestors, I respect that. As long as the wine is good, I totally dig that. That's what this wine represents, even more so. So where the Greek guy is bringing it into the modern era, this guy's making it like how his ancestors made it, with all the big old concrete and whatnot, old, large oak barrels. This is homage to the old ways to me. So the common denominator is they're both good. And then how they get there is another story. Yeah. So I tried to show you a diverse selection of wine so that you can, she's ready to go. Okay. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you all for watching. Thank you three. Much mahalo for coming and joining us and everything. She's ready to eat, so we have to go now.
Yeah.
So join us next week for another session. Aloha, everybody.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you.